over to Dr. Avery.
At this time, we would like to have Coach Keller. Where is Coach Keller? Where is he? To come up, and he's going to help recognize some of our powerlifting team members. So I know you don't like to speak, but we wanted to...
I've never been special enough to come up here.
So, but we just have a great honor that we want to make sure that we recognize today, and some of the young ladies that are here and their parents. We want to make sure that we give them the recognition that they deserve. And so, if we don't mind, if you can kind of give us a little highlight of what transpired.
All right, I'll go ahead and introduce Jayla first.
There she is.
Jayla's been powerlifting now for all 4 years. She's done a great job. Coach Velasco's not here today to talk about her, but I do know a little bit about her. I've been around her a long time. I'm the head powerlifting coach, and I mainly deal with the boys, and Coach Velasco is the girl coach. But she took fourth in region, second in region in the 5A division, and fourth overall in state in 5A. And Journey Thompson, y'all come up real quick. All right.
Love it.
Jeremiah and Journey, they're juniors right now. They've been powerlifting with me for 3 years. Jeremiah won first place in every meet he was in this year except state. He won all first place in every meet, first place in region. And in state, he came overall in 8th place. Just so y'all know he's coming back next year, there was only one junior in front of him. The rest were all seniors. So
wow.
And they're both in the same weight class. Journey right here, Thompson, his twin brother, he came in second in every meet. Hold on. He had a hamstring injury. He couldn't lift in the first couple. But after that, they were only separated by about 10, 15 pounds every meet. So he came on strong and did a good job. He came in second place in every meet he was in. Second place in the region. He came in 11th in state. Come on up, group photo right here. Just want to come in just a little bit this way. All right. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2. One more. Thank you.
Basketball players are going to be taller than
Dr. Avery? Dr. Avery?
Yes, sir.
Before we start, I got a text message from Coach Velasco. He just wanted to say that, of course, Coach Keller did emphasize on what happened, but Jayla Cachocho finished 4th overall in the 181 class. She also won back-to-back silver medals at regionals. She's a 3-time regional qualifier and 2-time state qualifier.
Yes.
This season, she squatted 390 pounds, 215 on bench press, and 375 on deadlift.
Yes.
Also, Kaleo Rowland was the lightest lifter in the state at the competition. She was in the 91-pound weight class, and she weighed in at 83 pounds. She finished 21st in a very strong and competitive weight class. She was a first-time qualifier in both regionals and state competition.
again, want to thank you guys, parents. Have we had any of the parents there for those young athletes there? Are they here? Parents, stand up and get recognized. Awesome. Also at this time, I would like to recognize the Manor Senior High School Jazz Band under the direction of Daryl Williams. They provided entertainment as you guys walked in today, so we want to thank you guys for, what you do as well. Thank you.
All right, I now call this meeting of the Manor Independent School District to order on.
March 25th at 6:42 p.m.
Let the record show that a quorum is present. This meeting has been duly called, and notices of this meeting have been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. We will now move to the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I testify, pledge allegiance to thee, one state, under God, one indivisible.
All right, now we will move on to the next item of business. Dr. Avery.
At this time, I would like to call Ms. Dana Swain up to the podium. She's going to help me with the announcing of some of the players' names. I also would like to have Coach Swain, if you can come up as well. We're so proud of the accomplishments in such a short period of time of your ability to coach and to inspire young men to do great things on and off the court. And it gives me great pleasure to say thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the coaching that you've provided these young men and the example that you've shown. And so on behalf of myself, and I know I'm going to give the board an opportunity to speak as well, we say congratulations for a job well done. Well done.
So one other thing before we start, I'd like to, if Principal Matthews and Principal Bailey, if they would both come up and share this honor with their kids as well.
Okay, so first up we have number 1 freshman Blake Fisher. Number 2, junior Jamal Shedd. Number 3, freshman Breon Woolley. Number 4, sophomore Anthony Joyner. Number 5, senior Davion Pearson. Number 10, sophomore Akeem Richardson. Number 11, sophomore Devin Lemire. Number 12, freshman Terrell Pinson. Number 13, sophomore Augustine Arroyo. Number 15, senior Trey Sherrill. Number 20, sophomore Tyrone Haywood. Number 22, senior Quentin Middleton. Number 25, freshman Marvin Bibbs. I didn't do this list. Number 24, Reginald Brown, senior. Number 30, senior Terry Alexander. And number 34, junior Xavier Wolf.
Okay, guys. Now we're going to introduce the staff. We're missing one. He's at track practice. Some of the guys that are missing here right now, they went right into track practice. They didn't get a break. So a lot of those guys are at track practice right now, and they couldn't be here. So first we have Taylor Wallace. Coach Herschel Johnson. Coach Nathan Clark. And once again, I want to say thank everyone for all the support you guys gave along the way. That was great. I don't know if you heard, but when I looked up in those stands in San Antonio and saw that sea of red, I couldn't do anything but smile. It was really a sea of red. I don't know if you probably couldn't see it from my view, but it was beautiful to see all that red. We had to have the most people in attendance at the state tournament. That was great, guys. And these guys already started working. We didn't take any time off. We got back. We've been working. They've been here this morning working. So we're trying to give y'all something to cheer for next year, guys.
And ladies and gentlemen, can I get Dr. Sarkover, could you come up as well? One of the young men said it right just now. They said, and Mr. Swain. Ladies and gentlemen, can we all stand and give Mr. Swain a applause? Behind every great team, there's a great leader, and Mr. Swain has definitely showed that on several occasions. Great work to everyone.
Yeah. Hey, can we get you guys to behind?
Is everybody visible?
Everybody ready?
Over here, Coach.
Okay.
Right here. Right here.
All right. Ready? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Ready? On the count of three. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
You gonna work out with them anymore?
Oh, my workout days are over.
So as the players go to take their seats, I'll give the board members an opportunity to say anything that they'd like to say to this group.
So I would just like to start with all of the parents to stand up, because you're the one that took them to all of their practices. You're the one to pay all of the back fees and everything else. Thank you. But I think we all can say that we're so absolutely proud. We all had hoarse voices by the time we came home because we had yelled. The first game, I think I was at a conference. I almost got put out the hotel because the lady was like, "Are you being killed?" I'm like, "No, we winning. We're winning." So we're just so proud of you.
History, right?
Yes.
This is what y'all just did.
Yes.
And we just need to come up a little bit more. I know we have 5 seniors. 5 seniors, right?
So he's coming
So
back.
y'all are gonna have a good team coming back, guys. We're gonna truck out there wherever you go, and hopefully we'll have similar goals that y'all are setting, and achievable goals by the look of the people that are returning. Thanks a lot, guys, for a good ride.
I want to say a big thank you to Coach Swain. I know that he got those text messages a couple of hours before each game, and it was the same thing every week. So maybe I'm a little superstitious too when it comes to those wins in the last 5 or 6 games. But again, you guys brought the community together. It's been a while. As a graduate of Manor High School, I can say that a lot of old Manor came out to see you guys, and of course they some of them don't even live in the district, but they came out to watch you, and it says a lot of how they still bleed that Manor red. So again, thank you again, and I enjoyed the ride itself as well.
I want to say again, thank you to Coach Swain and also Coach Wallace. I've seen you guys, since when y'all were playing against each other at Manor Middle School and Decker, and y'all have really grown together as a team. And then with your additional staff as well, I think, y'all really went out there and showed everyone that y'all could do it. And the greatest thing that brings me so much excitement is just knowing that y'all both went to Manor yourselves, and y'all went and represented us very well, and again, I really appreciate that. Guys, y'all did awesome, like Johnny said, bringing the community together and just going out there, working hard, and doing what you had to do. Y'all showed a presence in the community that was more than playing basketball, but going out and helping our youth and volunteering and doing those extra things that really make y'all more than athletes, but really great men. And y'all are going to take this for the rest of your lives and run with it and be a model for all of those youth below you. Thank you so much for everything that y'all have done. And Ms. Swain, thank you for supporting your husband and all the wives that support you. I know it takes a lot of effort, and y'all have been great. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank all the parents, the coaches, the teachers, everybody who made this possible. You guys brought a lot of pride to our district. I was very proud. And young men, I was getting reached out by school board members across the state of Texas wishing you guys good luck. So I was very, very proud of that. And actually one of my TASB Master Trustees, we were in a little friendly rivalry because he's from Mansville ISD, and we were both in our leadership TASB class, graduated together. So I told him we made history, and you guys made us very, very proud. And thank you so much for all you did. You did bring the whole community together. I wore my red pants, my red shirt, my red glasses, my red purse, my red cap, everything. Thank you so much.
Parents, thank you so much for raising such great leaders. And I'm not going to repeat what everybody said. I'm just going to say, wham, congratulations.
So I'd like to thank every single parent that actually got up every morning to make sure that your child was there. I understand. I felt your pain. But with that, one thing that I truly want to say, and Coach Swain, if you'll stand up again, because this young man exemplifies what a program should look like. These kids were actually held to a standard of, he made sure every single week that every single kid was passing 75 or greater. And if they didn't, then they ran continuously even if you were passing, you still ran until that 3-week period was over. But in that, he did not have a kid to fail. So it was more than just winning basketball games. One thing that stuck with me is he said, Mr. Fisher, I want to make sure that I am building men that will leave Manor after they graduate. So I want to commend you, sir, for thinking just outside of just winning basketball games and building all these young men. So staff, thank you for everything that you do, and you guys continue to put in the work and the results will come. So thank you. We'll move on to the next item, which will be teacher appreciation. Get to appreciate the people that are working hard.
Yes.
To appreciate the people that are working hard.
Thank you. Board President, Mr. Fisher, Superintendent Avery, Manor Board of Trustees. Again, it's a great honor that I stand before you to announce our Teachers of the Month by giving them recognition for going above and beyond at their campuses in a variety of areas, including academics, including their contributions to the school, to making the school whole. And again, we have approximately 16 candidates that we are here to recognize. So I'd like to get started with first Miss Rebecca Vega, Blue Bonnet Trail Elementary. Ms. Vega has taught there for 2 years in all subjects, including an inclusion teacher. Okay. Ms. Jackie Barra, you know what, hold a second, let's let our guest of honor exit gracefully. Thank you. Yes, thank you for coming. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. Deck Elementary School, she's been there for 4 years as a bilingual reading teacher, Ms. Jackie Barajas. Congratulations. Ms. Jordan Shelton, Manor New Tech Middle School, nominated by Mr. Chris Smith. This is her first year teaching 7th and 8th grade social studies. This is his first year teaching 7th and 8th grade social studies. Moises Hernandez, Manor Early College High School, nominated by Dr. Sadakova, teaching 3 years of chemistry. Congratulations. Robert Sheffield, Manor Middle School, nominated by Mr. Wise, teaching for 2 years social studies. Maria Martinez, Blake Manor Elementary School, nominated by Mrs. Morales. She's been there for 3 years teaching first grade bilingual education. Okay. Nicole Davis, Pioneer Crossing Elementary School, nominated by Miss Edwina Flowers. She's been there for 3 years teaching math. Miss Flowers here to accept. Okay. Coming up with Miss Flowers is here. Okay. Miss Rosa Martinez, Presidential Meadows Elementary School. She's been there for 5 years teaching kindergarten, nominated by Miss Fraley. Congratulations. From New Tech High School, nominated by Mr. Bobby Garcia, Mr. Jeffrey Coward has been there for 1 year teaching world history and girls athletics, and in addition to that, he is the girls soccer coach, and he's making school history by taking them to their first playoff game in school history. The game will be held this Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Coliseum. We have a pep rally at 5. Please, let's celebrate them as they move forward. Thank you. Next, we have from Oak Meadows Elementary, Janelle Juarez, nominated by Mr. Vega. Janelle's been there for 4 years, teaching K through 2 special education. Congratulations. Okay. Next, we have Miss Kenix Buey, Manor Elementary School, nominated by Miss Soley. She's been there for 6 years as a literacy coach. Miss Christine Shaw, nominated by Mr. Jerry Statos, Manor Excel Academy. This is her first year teaching math. She was unable to make it this evening, but Mr. Statos will take it in her honor. Thank you, sir. Roxanne Rosales Richards, by Lagos Elementary School, nominated by Miss Hawkins. She's been in the district teaching kindergarten and all subjects
for 13 years. Congratulations. Carolina Barrera, she teaches at Shadow Glen Elementary, nominated by Dr. DeLestre. She's been there for 4 years teaching math and science. Congratulations. Miss La Barbara Robertson, Manor High School, okay, nominated by Mr. John Bailey. She's been there for 4 years teaching English, language arts. And finally, Miss Tiffany Hernandez, nominated by Mrs. Anthony Swain, Decker Middle School. She's been there for 11 years teaching reading and ESL. Thank you. Thank you very much. We are very proud of your contributions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Proud of your contributions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes.
Squeeze in a little bit more. Maybe if we can get some folks in front. Okay. Count of three. 1, 2. One more. Thank you.
Getting recognized.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll now move to public forum.
Mr. President, we have 2 speakers. Before the 2 speakers come up, I'd like to remind, with public forum, in the interest of fairness and in accordance with board policy, Board of Trustees will follow these guidelines. Each speaker is allotted no more than 5 minutes. I will inform you when you have 1 minute left. I will also inform you when your time is up so that you may return to your seat. And the board may not discuss or make a decision of any subject that is presented. By making sure that we are doing this, we will ensure that all persons addressing the board will have equal time and attention. Our first speaker is Mr. Nathaniel Thayer.
Good evening. Y'all hear me fine?
Mr. Thayer's time starts now.
Y'all hear me fine? All right. So, as I've told y'all before, I'm back again, talk a little bit about dress code, but I'm going to try not to hold up on that too long. You know, I've talked to Dr. Avery. He's told me that they're working on a survey, and I look forward to that. My usual take is, you know, I just want to see jeans back. But another thing is as I've discussed with Dr. Avery and other people, you know, it makes sense at some point to see this dress code, you know, expand past it. At some point, you're going to be looking at the high school, and I just want to note that when y'all start looking at the high school, and I know it's going to happen at some point, jeans are probably going to be the best course to go with if you want an easy turnover. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of crazy parents up here, kind of like me. But moving past that, you know, there's other concerns that I've had recently. School calendar being one. Right now, as of next year, we're not aligned with UT, ACC, or most of the other school districts for spring break. Also, I've never been fond of the fall break, mainly because, you know, I've got to take time off, or my wife's got to take time off, or I got to send the kids off someplace. You know, so does that make sense? And I know it causes other complications. You know, you got to move spring break later down the road. So, is that the calendar we really want to be going with? Because when I was asked to vote on it, that was, you know, both options had fallen in there. But let me get past that. You know, another thing I want to talk about, at some point, y'all are going to have to start putting some money into playscapes, you know, throughout the district. I addressed some concerns which are still present
a couple weeks back that I noticed just at one playscape. Part of what I do is I have people who go out and look at playscapes also, and there was a lot of issues out there. My biggest concern is that none of the equipment at that particular playground would have held up to a fall test, which means that basically, what's determined to, whether or not a child will have a fatal accident on a playscape from a certain height. So you might want to look into that. It's enough concern that I'm really would say look at it. That's equipment that has lifespan, and components on it have lifespans that might be shorter than the playscape itself. So I would recommend getting a good maintenance plan going on that, and I would be more than happy to help in any way possible on my side. The other thing that I also want to talk to, and it's something that AISD is doing, is can y'all look into possibly doing the free lunches for all students? You got about 2,000 students that currently do not qualify for free lunches or reduced lunches based off the economically disadvantaged. So I know it's a paycheck right there. It's a good chunk of cash to do that, but we're talking about making the playing field even for everybody. That's another way to get it going. That's all I really got. So thanks, guys.
Mr. President, we have Mr. David Crandall and Mr. Tim Shaver.
All right. Good evening, Board, and good evening, Superintendent. We couldn't be here at a better time. You have much to be proud of. Congratulations on the accomplishments. And it's really why we're here. You are a desired school district, and that's why we're here. My name is David Crandall. I'm the National Director of Sales for Strawbridge Studios. We have had the blessing of working with 5 of your schools and currently work with them. I've been in this business for 27 years. I worked for LifeTouch for 21, left as a director, the youngest director they ever had, came to Strawbridge to take them national. And in 27 years, traveling from Canada to California to Maine to Miami, I've never seen a school district in my entire career choose one provider without any competitive pricing, any competitive response of a proposal of any nature. And that's why we're here, because I believe in, I'm a varsity girls basketball coach. I believe in losing gracefully. But to lose means you have to have an opportunity to win. And in our case, we received an email after we received a communication from one of the principals saying, hey, we got wind that I think the school district's just moving everything over to one company. So then when we sent an email, we received an email back from a Mr. Scott Thomas just saying, hey, we chose not to do an RFP or a bid. We're just going to streamline everything through one company. And all I would ask is, does that serve your patrons, your community, and your students? Are you receiving competitive pricing? And are you receiving a competitive offer? And that's all we want. We know that just by being here and raising this concern doesn't bode for us well. And I'll speak for local school fixture companies here in Texas or everywhere else, but there's a billion-dollar company that's controlled by Wall Street now that's publicly traded that does your business out of California. And we would love just the opportunity just to be able to respond. Give parents low prices in which they would love. And that's all we're here is just to inform and to say you are desired. We would have loved the opportunity just to submit something. But we weren't given that opportunity. So with that, I thank you for your time, and thank you.
All right. We will now move on to our consent agendas. We are going to, there's one correction to item C, which is the, is it C? D, that we're going to pull and get some information on, is that correct? And then we're gonna pull, and then we're gonna pull some information on B, where there is a correction on the minutes, so we'll let Ms. Caller give us the correction.
Thank you, Dr. Avery and Board of Trustees. I just wanted to clarify, for item B, for regular minutes, for February 25th, there was a typo in the time, Ms. Cortez had left. She was feeling ill, and the time that was, posted was 6:28. The correct time is 8:05, and that was corrected in the minutes. So just wanted to inform you on that. And then the second item is item D, that it should say consideration and approval for the purchase of a new marquee for Decker Elementary, not Manor Elementary. So we wanted to inform you of those errors. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
And we're going to pull item E.
Which item?
We're going to pull item E. We're going to pull item E. Is there any items that any board members would like to have pulled to be discussed?
I'd like a little clarification on G, as in go.
All right, so G. G.
G.
Yeah.
G as in go.
All right, looks like we're ready.
G as in go.
Mr. Fisher, Board of Trustees, you've asked to pull item G, which is policy BE local.
Right. I just had a quick question, Scott,
Yes,
about the wording in consultation with board president, the superintendent shall prepare the agenda for all board meetings. Is that only with the board president, or should that be with?
I'm sorry, tell me where in the policy you're...
It's further down, that first page.
The dedaction?
I don't have it with me. I don't have the actual, I'm looking at my notes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You want me to point it out to you? You want me to point it out?
Can you tell us what page?
It's on the first, it's on the first page.
If you're looking at the policy, this is policy BE local, which is board meetings. And the part of the policy being addressed at this point is under the agenda. It's under preparation. And this is actually, it's the very first sentence under preparation. It says, in consultation with the board president, the superintendent shall prepare the agenda for all board meetings. This is not a change at all. This was what's been in policy since December 2014.
Yeah.
And there was no change to that.
I didn't see, but after rereading it, I'm thinking that maybe it should be in consultation with the board officers, because actually the officers are all involved in the actual agenda approval, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
And so the actual board president by itself should be board officers, unless I'm I'm incorrect on that.
It can be that.
So
It's
that-
local policy.
That's the way we do it. So board officers actually go over it with the superintendent.
Yeah,
So-
and
so
y'all
we-
approve it and then.
Absolutely. So we probably do need to change that language.
Okay. And that is a very, very simple change. And if you're comfortable, board, with that change, as recommended at the board meeting tonight, that can be changed, and then I can send it to TASB for approval into our board. If you're comfortable with that change as suggested by Mr. Samparipa. And then, sir, there was another one further down.
Right.
And
there
it
were
says
two places.
that, and it was actually the next paragraph down. And the beginning of that one says, before the official agenda is finalized for any meeting, the superintendent shall consult the board president to ensure that the agenda and the topics included meet with the board president's approval. And my guess, based on what you just said, Mr. Samarripa, is to also put board officers.
Yes.
So would I be?
As an entity, right.
Okay, so that would be two changes, simple changes. And one of the board's duties is to adopt policy. And, of course, and make suggestions, like tonight. So, with that, I can easily make those changes. If you're comfortable with that, I can make that change. I can also submit that to Ms. Padilla as well, our general counsel, and we can get that sent to TASB.
Dr. Mosher, I have one.
Yes.
Under agenda and preparation also says that there must be at least 2 board members to put an item on the agenda. In the past, I've reached out to a board member. The board member had agreed to put something on the agenda. At last minute, they decide not to. So then I go to another board member. That board member says no. So now when I go to a 4th board member, now I'm in a quorum.
Yeah.
So can we maybe reconsider that and go back to 1 board member to put an item on the agenda?
I have a great suggestion for that. The reason this was changed tonight to 2 was because we have our board operating procedures that were adopted in November 2018 or October, sometime last year. These changes were made to match, this was pointed out by Mr. Samparipa last month, to match our policy, match the board operating procedures. We can make that change, but that's going to be a change that needs to come from the board because it affects 2 different documents, which is the operating procedures themselves and then local policy. So that's something we wouldn't be able to do tonight because that's a larger process that would involve more than likely a board workshop because it involves the board procedures themselves.
We're good. Are there any more questions? We're good. Are there any more questions? All right. Any other items that need to be pulled? Any other items that need to be pulled? All right. I'll entertain a motion to accept items A through G with the exception of E being pulled.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Mr. Samarripa.
I'll second it.
Mr. Samarripa. I have a second from Ms. Thomas. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Thomas? All in show that the motion has passed 7-0. All right, we'll now get into our information items. First thing we have up is monthly financial report. All right. All right.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back.
Great to have you back, sir.
Thank you very much. And but I think this item here, Mr. President and Dr. Avery and board, this is just a routine item, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
We have any questions for Mr. Martin? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's move on to next move on to item which will be progress monitoring of student outcome goals.
Right. Board President, Mr. Fisher, Superintendent Avery, and Manor Board of Trustees. I'm here to start our discussion on our student outcome goals and progress measures as we have continued to monitor our progress measures for literacy, or progress measures as well as post-secondary literacy. The data post-secondary readiness is still not the data is still forward, not just yet. I think by the time our next board meeting comes around in April, we will be discussing more of the progress measures involved. But today, we are looking at our test data or benchmark data to determine whether students are on tap to do well on the STAR exam, which will ultimately impact this goal in third grade reading or readiness standard. So again, the more information to come, but as we go further down, Dr. Balasubramanian is here, and he will be having the discussion on our progress goals on post-secondary readiness, as well as our most current benchmark scores that we have. So I'd like to turn it over to you, sir.
Good evening, President Fisher, Superintendent Avery, distinguished members of the board. Excited to be here. We presented some of this data, shared it with you in January, if you remember. Yep. And we said we'll wait till February to see what's the exciting thing to look at. So I'm proud to say our campus leaders and teachers sitting back there have done a tremendous job. And you can see at the district level, the data showing you how our elementary campuses have done. And look at each of those bar graphs next to each other. And what you're looking at those bar graphs next to each other. If I go to the very first example that Dr. Yeo just mentioned, if I go to the very first example that has to do with third grade literacy. In Goal 1 has to do with third grade literacy. 59, currently at the just-in-time assessment of the 59, currently at the just-in-time meets, we are at 21. On our masters, we are at 11. And when you average the three, you get 30%. Is that making sense? Mm-hmm. So you see the trend across the board. And the good news is, in concert with the celebrations we typically have, our fifth grade is the first assessment we're going to see. The kids are going to take that assessment in a matter of few weeks as our first opportunity as Student Success Initiative. So we are way ahead of the threshold in terms of getting our achievement, which is what I like to look at up and down in terms of where are our students learning. I'm not the biggest fan of up and down in terms of what is the achievement. A much more meaningful measure is, it doesn't matter where a child is on the up and down scale, short or tall, are they moving to the right? Are they making growth? Are they making at least a year or more than a year's growth in a year's time? And when you look at that, there's tremendous success to see across every one of our campuses there. So this is the elementary data you see in front of you. And then the next slide is speaking to the secondary data across the district. So you can clearly see there are some pain points, particularly the 8th grade math points, particularly the 8th grade math. To celebrate overall in terms of the progress we made from where we started overall in terms of the progress. So one of the most important things we are sharing with our campus leaders. So one of the most important things we are sharing with our campus leaders is where are they? It's not about where the kids are starting. And going by that metric, everything right now, the signal is pointing to some great results coming up this summer. So I'll stop there and take some questions, and then we can go on from there.
So I do have a question. So the red bar that it looks like we're targeting, I guess it's the target?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Target C?
Yes. 41%.
Okay, and then what is the last test that we just take?
It's called the just-in-time. That's everything you see. The second bar you see is all of everything on the second bar is the last test. So
okay, so is it like if I'm reading the red, MISD grade 6, right? ELA.
Okay.
So then if I see that we are at 35%,
that's right.
And we're under the actual target
of 41 by 6 percentage points. You're correct.
Right. So okay. So what does that bar represent as far as number percentage?
So the red bar is talking about a C, and it's only speaking to the achievement.
Okay.
The state takes the best of achievement or growth.
Gotcha.
And if you look at the progress from the December to the February, March assessment, you see progress. So our campus leaders have been trained to look at it at the kid level. So, yes, we want to care about achievement, but a more important metric is growth.
Got it. And so within that, when we're talking about the overall numbers of 35%, 60%, we're talking about kids, right? That
Correct.
literally.
Correct.
Okay. Kids, right? That
Correct.
literally.
Correct.
So, my question is English 1 and English 2 seem to be either stagnant or going down. Is there something that we're doing stagnant or going down? Is there something that we're doing the 6th grade, and then it's math, and then on the 8th grade side, math. We're really looking at on the what we did last year. We're really looking at what we did last year. Third grade period. Third grade here. Some, third grade things that we're doing there. Some specific
Absolutely. The answer is yes. I'm going to pull Mr. Perkins and Dr.
The answer is yes.
And then get them to speak to it, and I can speak to it as well. But and then get them to speak to it, and I can speak to it as well. But
sure. Good evening, President Fisher, Superintendent Avery, trustees. Ms. Thomas, let me make sure I understood your question. What are we doing specifically for English 1 and English 2? Because those data points are stagnant or lagging behind.
Right, because it looks like we were at 26% last year for English 2, and then we're slightly behind that as of right now. If that was behind overall with the state on last year, and we're staying consistently behind, is there an intervention plan so that we don't continue to stay behind?
Sure, yes. So just to clarify those, so that those two bars where you see the 26 represents the one furthest to the right, right, and the one before that, and that's from the JIT, the assessments we took at the end of February. The one before that is not from last year's, it's from December, so from the MOI assessment. But there still is a decline from December to February when you would expect to see increase instead. So to get to your question, the most important thing that we're doing is just ongoing professional development for those teachers. And so as it relates to English 2, that's happened in a couple of different ways. One, we have support from coaching from Region 13. We have support working with English coaching 1 from Region 13 teachers to provide that working with English 1 and then from the curriculum and instruction ongoing support. Our secondary ELA curriculum and instruction is also our secondary ELA coordinator is planning and then delivery and then providing feedback on instruction. The third thing that we're doing for English 2, if you all remember, you all were so gracious enough to allow us to go back to Sylvan and use additional funds because we recognize that is an area where we're having a lot of struggle. So English 2 is where we're also using Sylvan tutors in order to support those students who need additional support.
Is that the greatest area of need that you see from the information presented, or is there something else that you...
No, English 1 and English 2 are areas of need this year and in years prior that we're constantly trying to improve. And you know, by the time, you know, kids get to 9th and 10th grade, when you try to just fix it right there, so we're trying to fix it right there, but we're also trying to overall improve our systems, our resources, the training of those teachers, the hiring of those teachers in order to target better performance in those areas. So we're addressing it in real time and also systematically.
Can you go back to the elementary slide, which was the one before that? So it looks like, you know, kind of the troubled areas are in for us in English level and math. for us in English and math. That as to it's kind of what we're seeing some of our struggles to be is what we're seeing some of our struggles be is what it is.
Part of that, in my opinion, right, and there may be a different, is that developmentally, right? So we're given this assessment in December and in February. It's the end of the year. It's a summative assessment. And so with third grade readers, for instance, if you're thinking about DRA levels, we're giving it to them while they're in the middle of the year, right? And your DRA level is at one point at that, and it's going to be completely different from what your DRA level is going to be in May when the kids take the assessment. It's not that that's an excuse, but developmentally, third graders have more of a bridge to cross in terms of their academic maturity, their reading levels, and so on and so forth. But in spite of, we're still working with, especially our priority campuses, in order to make sure we're providing that ongoing professional development for those teachers. We're doing that in a format of what we call unit mapping, where we're really breaking down what the standards are, the most important standards are that those students need to master, breaking those into smaller chunks or learning targets, and then identifying student products and resources, right? So really making sure teachers have a sound understanding of what they need to teach, what kids need to learn, and how you monitor that. All the research on professional development says the most effective PD is ongoing PD. So we do that weekly with our priority campuses. We're also, especially with third grade reading, we have this campaign that we have met with literacy coaches and principals and instructional coaches about time on text. We need our third grade students to have an extensive amount of time on text, engaged in authentic, highly engaging reading resources, because it's the rich get richer mentality. The more you read, the richer you get as a reader. And so we're making sure that principals are pushing, and then we're making sure we're supporting from the CNI department in terms of recommending highly engaging reading resources, novels, and then instructional activities that go with that in order to improve that. But like I said, third graders have to mature, both as readers and as thinkers, and this is their first time being engaged. I'm confident that our continued push, the push from the campuses, the teachers, the principals, and our push from the district office will yield the results that we're looking forward to seeing.
I know they have mentioned an instructional coach aspect in the future. If that happens, how would that change this dynamic? Or will it help it?
Having an instructional coach?
Yes.
At each elementary campus? An instructional coach? Yes. At each elementary campus? All right. I got it.
If y'all don't know, it's okay.
It'll change the dynamic because we've had a strong push for the last year and almost 2/3 on the K through 2 literacy, right? Really understanding that we have to develop readers as soon as they get to us. And we have dedicated the resources and the training to that. I had a meeting with our partner in that, Sherry from Ohio State, who was kind of helping us lead that literacy collaborative. And she talked about the tremendous growth that she's seen in our literacy coaches in terms of the work that they're doing, because they're providing at least one coaching session for every K through 2 teacher in the building monthly. I mean, when you're talking about ongoing professional development, for you to get that continued coaching support monthly, it's a tremendous thing. You have almost no choice but to grow as an instructional professional, unless you're just choosing not to, right? So that same level of support in grades through 5, if there was an additional instructional coach at each elementary school that was focused on kind of doing that same work at the upper grade level, would just be more support for the teachers. More support for the teachers equals improved instruction for the students, which equals improved learning, and then improved performance.
I got it. I have a question.
And if you don't mind, Mr. Summers, I'd like to add one of our foresight this year is looking at the longitudinal misconceptions in nonfiction and poetry. What has happened is we've spent so much time on getting away from reading, getting away from focusing on academic vocabulary, focusing on the STAR test, that we've sort of put these things on the back seat. Now it's coming forward again, and Mr. Perkins said it very eloquently. We have to get kids reading more in third grade. We have taken that away from them, and we are going to. We've made the stronger push now to get them reading more. We focus on K2. Now we have to do more in K. I think K2 is going to be fine. Instructional coaches absolutely needed, because again, the coaches from K2 are being pulled away from their focus there to go into third through fifth grade. We do need additional support to get this right, especially with the numbers of kids that we're seeing reading below grade level. You know, we have great programs, MVRC and so on, but we need that additional for teachers as well. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Cummings, I apologize, sir.
That's fine. I was thinking, what are we doing in the high school level? Because the last meeting that we had, there were 29 students, I believe, that had not passed the necessary exams in English 1, and then there were another 60 that had not passed the necessary exams to graduate in English 2. So to me, have we done enough with our students in order for them to graduate?
So, my initial answer to that would be no, because if we had, then there wouldn't be any kids in the first place that need to do anything, that still need to take assessments, right? But I can also speak to, I've had several meetings, he's behind me right now with Mr. with Mr. Matthews and his team, and they do have a solid, comprehensive plan on how they are continuing to provide support, right? So the game is not over. We're still in it. We're still playing, and we're still playing to win. So everything from the curriculum resources that they're using, how they've designed the master schedule in order to embed intervention classes in the master schedule, and the lessons that they're providing during those after school, Saturday school. You have to make up hours. You're coming and also doing something academic for that time as well. So they've dotted each I and crossed each T in order to provide those students as much support as possible to get those kids to the finish line.
Good evening. Superintendent Avery, Board President Mr. Fisher, and all the distinguished board members. Hot 60 is what I labeled those kids when I first got here. And I took full responsibility of making sure that we put together a plan. Ms. Lewis, Ms. Lewis, our associate principal, myself, Mr. Common, along with Mr. Torres. We sat down and had a comprehensive collaborative meeting of what we were going to do with these kids. And just to ditto a couple of things that Mr. Perkins and Dr. B and the others have said, the first thing we had to do was acknowledge the students first and to put them on notice. And we were calling them in, have called them in, and not only calling them, but calling their parents and letting them know the sense of urgency. Because when I came on board on February the 13th, I don't have time to get to know you. I've got to get you across the stage. So a couple of things we had to put in place immediately was to give these kids opportunities, like he said, before school, after school, and Saturday school. And it doesn't matter if you have the opportunities there if you don't inform or require the kids to show up. And that's the big push, is letting the kids know these are the requirements, this is what you need to get across the stage, because TEA requires 3 things for a kid to graduate. 1, they have to have 90% attendance. 2, they have to pass all of STAR. 3, they have to have the 22 credits required and or the 26 credits with an endorsement in order to walk the stage. And a lot of our kids were not informed of this fully, number one. Number 2, a lot of their parents weren't informed. And so the communication piece was big there for us to put in place to inform these kids the importance of them taking seriously their ownership of their instruction and being in those classrooms before school, after school, and now, 2 weeks before spring break, we implemented Saturday school tutoring where we're requiring them to come in. And that's not just for the kids who need interventions with STAR, but some of those kids were having to double dip. And that means they also needed what? Tennis for credit. So while they're getting interventions for STAR, they were also getting what? Seat time to regain credit for those classes they did not receive credit for because they had not met the 90th percentile. So it is on and popping at the senior high school. I want you to know that, okay? They've been put on notice. Our parents have been informed. It's a continued effort. Like these guys have said, they've given us major support, and I appreciate each and every one of them. But the accountability piece, we had to put also on the students, okay, as well as informing the parents. So we want you to know it's there. We've moved a lot of kids. Matter of fact, let me inform you of progression. We went from 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours that were needed by our students for seat time. And Mr. Torres just gave me my printout after speaking to the juniors and seniors face-to-face. I think you were there, Mr. San Marino, about the expectations. We've dropped that number to less than 1,000. We're at 800. And that's worth an applause as well, in addition to championships, because although I'm very proud of the teams, I'm very proud of our extracurricular activities. TA does not care how many buckets you score, and I play basketball. They don't care how many touchdowns you score, and I play football. What they want are those three requirements in order for you to walk the stage. So know that it's happening. I welcome you to come by and see our kids grinding. That's what I've asked them to do. Give me 45 days of grind so I can get you across this stage. And that's what it's all about. The kids have to take ownership and take it seriously. I think they've done that, and I have to give credit to our administrative staff as well as our teachers who are staying behind. This is the first school I've ever worked at that I've embraced, that we get out at 4:45. And so that's a long day for educators. But for teachers to stay from 4:45 to 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, some of them are still there with the janitors in the evening, that's dedication. And that's wanting their kids to be successful. So I appreciate you guys' support, but know that it's happening, okay, and it's going to continue to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
I think overall, I mean, one of the things that has been very important from day one, especially this year when we got the accountability ratings, is that we got to do more. We have to be able to kind of be focused enough to be able to, you know, take the distractions off the campus and principals and district administrators to make sure that we stay focused in the needs of the children across the board. And so that's kind of what we've done, and we feel very confident that we're gonna push it to the end, and we're gonna be able to reap the rewards from that. So rest assured that we're very positive that the work that we've done and the analysis that we've done with the data along the way, we feel confident that we're going to be able to push the needle to where we need it to be.
Let me say this one more thing. Just to piggyback what it's very important. No matter what school district you're in, country, rural, inner city, suburban, it doesn't matter. If you have too many distractions on a campus, there's going to be very little learning. And that's one of the things that we had to tackle first. I'm going to say that first, because we had to address dress code. We had to address skipping class. We had to address attendance issues. Now that we've addressed those issues, we can now have school. So that's why we're moving forward.
Any additional questions?
Just for Dr. Yearwood, when can we expect to see the additional data?
That'll be at the April board meeting.
We're gonna have principals present their data to you guys. I think that's going to be very important. We did that at the beginning of the school year, so we want to make sure that we bring them back to have an opportunity to speak to you again. Well,
you know, just to close before I sit down, I know, you know, I would echo, or Dr. Yearwood and Dr. Avery, and Dr. B would echo this. You see a ton of lines to the right that are higher than those lines to the left, right? You also see, especially in like 4th and 5th grade, what that overall, that approaches meets and masters divided by 3, that domain 1 score, how high that already is, in a lot of cases higher than where we were at the end of last year. And you know, so what I'd like to communicate is that is completely because of the ownership and the work that the principals, right, that those head coaches on each campus are doing. I mean, they are doing an amazing job owning their data and not being satisfied, right? They're not being satisfied with where they are, but they know that these percentages represent lives and represent spaces, and they're not satisfied until each of those spaces, like Dr. B said, are moving to the right and are growing. So just wanted to give them a shout out for that.
I'll just set it up for the next person coming in, so I don't have Mr. Loredo on my head.
All right. Next we have the new field house construction update. Blizzard.
Good evening, y'all. It's good to see you again. And I'd like to see a person that's passionate about what they like to do. I'm passionate about what I do. So we're going to talk about this field house project. We're always going to start out with where we started in the beginning. We're always going to start out with where we started in the beginning. Everything you know about the project. Here's our budget. Just kind of a front cover page. Everything you know about the project. We're still on time. Still on target. We're still on time. Still on target. Always like to give you a site plan. I'm going to try to get a little bit better on that. Always like to give you a site plan. Picture. I'm going to try to get a little bit better on that. That shows you the whole picture. Our field house is the primary project. It impacts. Our field house is the primary project, but it impacts this whole site, different parts of it. And just give you a little bit of what we talked about last week or last month. Just give you a little bit of what we talked about last week or last month was where we had ran into the gas piping issues, capped those off. We got those resolved. We ran into what we thought was some fiber optic issues, and we ran into what we thought was some fiber optic issues, and they were not. They were old abandoned telephone lines. And then right now have finished up our drilling our piers, right now we're setting our foundation beams and drilling our piers and setting our foundation beams and setting. We're actually doing very well. We're actually see those pictures. Doing very well. The foundation part is the pier there, the concrete pier at the bottom. The foundation part is the pier there, the concrete pier at the bottom, and the drillers. And then the last part of what we have here is just our progress. And then right now part of what we have here is just our progress beams on right the project. Now we're at the getting ready to beams on the project. Do a select backfill. We're getting ready to gym floor area. Do a select. We've had a lot of water over the gym with that floor area, and so we've had a lot of water issues with that particular area. And so what we're doing is we're backfilling, compact that. Some specialized dirt. Obviously, with the wood floor, it's got to be very sensitive. It's got to be very perfect. Obviously, with the wood floor, it's got to be very sensitive. It's got to be very perfect. It'll be just like your track. So we're doing one more test on that, and then bringing that dirt in and compacting it and get it ready for the final approach. With me, I have several of the team members here. The project architect, Troy Spink, and then I also have the project engineer, Eli Howard. We've got the superintendent, Mackie Price. We're working together, y'all. We're gonna make it happen. The good news is our budget is looking good. As we continue, we're on schedule. As we continue, we're probably on schedule. Actually, around 48,000. We're probably actually around 48,000. We're gaining money, so we're doing pretty good.
I just have.
We're gaining money.
Very, very brief question. I just have the actual very, very brief question. CMAR budget is $10 million. The actual
yes, sir.
CMAR budget is $10 million. Does that include contingency?
Yes, it does.
Everything. Does that include contingency?
Yes, it does, sir.
Everything. Okay.
What you'll see.
Who's doing this? Which contractor is doing this? Who's doing this?
Balfour Beatty.
Okay.
Yes, sir. What you will be seeing on the next presentation, I am going to be bringing the change request as we go through them. We're at number 7. And that's why I'm showing that right now we're at about a 48,000 above the cost of contingency.
Okay.
Because what we did was we took this metal building, we did not have to relocate it, so there's a credit back to the district. We're actually above that line.
So you have change orders?
Yes, sir. We actually have, I think, 3. Yes, sir.
Okay. I would like to see the change orders.
Yes, sir. I agree.
When
and what you will be seeing at the next board meeting is I'll be bringing those as line items as you see them. But I can also bring those.
Well, before the next board meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, yes, sir. Any questions? Anything? Any questions? Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, next up, we'll have our human resource update. Dr. Dan Vera.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Avery, and Board. Tonight, I wanted to Dr. Avery and Board. Do a little tonight, I wanted to that we currently have in our a little walkthrough on a policy that we currently have in our show you a real quick comparison of our policy to that, and show you a real quick comparison of our policy to that, see if you can see a difference in our policy versus the CASB recommended policy. Then I want to talk to you a little bit about how much our policy is costing versus what our policy wouldn't cost if it was changed. I do plan to present to the board's policy committee a couple of other policies as well, but I wanted to bring these to light with the board and show you just a little bit of data with relation to those policies. So the first policy that you see there is Manor ISD's policy. So the first policy that you see there is Manor ISD's policy on temporary disability. Policy that deals with all kinds of leave. EC is our policy that deals with all kinds of leave, FMLA, workers' comp, leave, catastrophic leave, FMLA, workers' comp. So Manor says any full-time employee is qualified for 180 days to be out. Qualified for 180 days. The CASB recommended policy is any full-time employee whose position requires educator certification. Full-time employee whose position requires educator certification. And the number of employees, and so there's a huge difference in the number of employees certified versus TDL. All employees if they're educator certified versus all employees in the district. I believe Manor probably was trying to at one time look out for its employees. I believe Manor probably was trying something look out for its employees, but and do something we're constantly asked for all the employees, reflectively looking at we're constantly asked in the district and how we can be looking at how we can best the expenses and the district stewards of the money of the district. This is a policy that I wanted to just bring to your attention. So if we did the next slide, you can see professionals are in red. Certified paraprofessionals and auxiliary are the 43 and 14%. Certified paraprofessionals and auxiliary are the 43 and 14%. So over 50% of all of our temporary disability leave people who are out on leave, of all of our temporary disability leave people who are out on leave, and so you kind of have a little bit of a double bang there. And so because you're paying their a little bit of a double bang there, they're using leave because you're paying their salaries because they're using leave, putting a sub in employees for the sub also while they're out as well, and paying for your expense while they're out as sub and for their salary. And so the fluctuation of the number of times that this can happen can cost you a significant amount of money over time. I don't want to take something away without replacing it with something, because we all have employees that we still have to care about, and we are entrusted with taking care of them and their health. So, and then the next slide again, this was a slide that I put together back in February. And the next slide again, this was a slide that I put together back in February. There were only 11 professionals who were using temporary disability. There were only 11 professionals who were using temporary disability. But if you look at the others added together, there are already a number of people out on temporary disability. And this isn't a short-term time on temporary disability. And this isn't a short-term 80 days being out. This is 100. So what happens is you have long-term employees who've been here for many, many years, you have long-term employees, and they have accumulated 30 here for many, many years, 60 days of leave, and they have accumulated 30, 40, 60 days of leave, 60 days or more, they can be gone that entire time, salary while 60 days or more, and then still draw a salary while the district pays for the sub while they're out, still also having to pay the district pays for the sub while they're out as well. How the district is having to contract cases we hear about custodial services, groundkeeper services, and things like that, for custodial services, groundkeeper services, and things like that, because we can't keep our out on temporary custodians and groundskeepers well leave. If they're out on temporary disability leave, contract out more of those services as well. That makes us so it's a double bang when we offer TDL to all employees. So the questions we asked again are: how much productivity do we lose with this policy? It varies from year to year. And how much does it cost us? It varies from year to year. Subs, professionals, and how much does it cost contractors and non-professionals? For subs, professionals, there are other benefits for contractors and non-certified employees can use in place. There are other benefits that non-certified employees can use. Family Medical Leave Act, FMLA, is the first thing that Family Medical Leave Act, FMLA, is the first thing that we can offer those employees who do not use TDL. It makes a little bit of sense for a year or more. That if you have been here for over a year, that if you have been here for over a year, because you've shown that you're going to be an employee here and you're going to be loyal to the district, because you've shown that you're going to be an employee here and you're going to be loyal to the district, that is a great benefit to have FMLA. So that is a great benefit if you're injured on the job. Workers' comp is still available to you. Workers' comp, if you're injured on the job, workers' comp is still available to you. State leave and local leave, state leave, the very generous. This district also provides generous extended. This district also provides generous extended. This year I trained 16 campuses. Every year I encourage every employee to donate one of your local days. Every year I encourage every employee to donate one of your local days. So if you donated one of your catastrophic leave on one of your local days, so if you donated one of your catastrophic leave on one of your local days, full salary, you get 15 catastrophic pop at your full salary if something catastrophic happens to you. So it's a great benefit that this district provides to its employees. So it's a great benefit that this district provides to its employees. I encourage them to do that every single year if they ever needed it. So I encourage them to do that every single year. I will be presenting this to your committee. But if we did look at, I will be presenting this to your committee. This policy and revising it, and only applying it to those that it was intended to be applied to, only certifying it to those that it was intended to be applied to, then certified they would still have available to them FMLA, workers' comp, local state leave, and extended catastrophic leave. So we would still be taking care of our employees, but we would still be good stewards of the district's money as well. So I wanted to present that.
So can you also, when you present it, can you have solid numbers from last year and the year before? Because I know it varies each year, but can you put some dollar amounts with it?
So that, I had intended to do that for this board meeting tonight, but what you have is many different trails to follow, because the cost could be to a contracted worker or to just a simple sub. For a professional, it could be 80 days out versus 30 days out, or 60 days out, or 20 days out. So it's a lot of, I can do it, it's just going to take us a little bit of time, and the accuracy of it, I would want to double check and triple check it before I presented it to the board, because there's so many different rabbits to chase with regard to PDL and who subs in its place and what the daily rate is for that employee that's out, and whether or not that employee was using leave or that employee was being docked while they were out, or whether workers' comp was paying 70% of their pay while they were out. See, there's a lot of different avenues that you would have to tease out. Because the district only pays that you would have to tease out, because the district only their leave if they're workers' comp TDL. 30% of their leave if they're workers' comp TDL. I really wanted to get this for you to present it. Dr. Avery had actually asked me. I really wanted to get this for you to present it. Dr. Avery had actually asked me, like, I'm going to try to give us a hard number to tease it out. I'm going to try to continue to do that, and if I can bring some solid numbers for you.
Yeah, at least somewhere in the ballpark, because I'm trying to get an idea of what's the number.
Absolutely.
And then, can you give us what that transition would look like? Because what happens to all the people who've already earned it and have been, maybe here for 17 years, and they're saying, okay, this has been my expectation. How do you transition them?
So that's an excellent lead into my teaser for the next opportunity that I have to meet with you and give you an update. I'm going to try to come in and visit with you in the next HR update about the difference between a non-duty day and a paid vacation day. And that's a very long discussion, but I'm going to try to narrow it down to just a 5-minute presentation. But you're right. We have a policy in place called DED Local where they accumulate days, and that's another expense to the district that I want to present to you as to tease out and evaluate. Good question.
So Dan, I have a question. Do you have a leave specialist that's in your department?
Yes, sir.
And are we currently just, really following up with the actual leave, with everyone that's on leave, and making sure we got proper documentation, they're coming back in time? And the reason that I asked, my wife runs a leave department, and she saved her company millions of dollars just through proper documentation and things of that nature to where people didn't have it, right? So,
absolutely.
So just wondering if we had that.
We have a person, but not just that. This is the first year, because we noticed that we saw some holes in the tracking of the leave that was going on, and so we have contracted with Frontline, ASOP, and Skyward, and so they don't talk to each other very well. And so what was happening is teachers, administrators, staff were having to go in and put a sub in at ASOP, but then they wouldn't go back and put it into Skyward to track their attendance. And it was maybe through oversight or just, illness and then forgetting to return back. But we had noticed, now even though we would reconcile, every week ASOP with Skyward, there were still times when those were going through, and misclassification of days. Some teachers are putting down school business, which is charged to the district, versus local leave or personal leave, which is charged to them. And so we found that there were some inconsistencies in the way that school business was being used, local leave and state leave was being used, and so we contracted with ASOP and Skyward to create that language connection where they would talk to each other. So it's a one-stop shop, and we're piloting that right now to see if it's going to work, so that all you have to do when a teacher is absent or administrator or whoever is absent, they call in for their sub, and it automatically jumps into Skyward. They don't have to go in and put it in. It puts it in for them. So no more of this forgetting to put your leave in. It automatically goes in. Then at the end of the year, we can track it based upon leave code, whether it was local, state, school business. We've already we've already identified about 30 days that an employee had put in for school business that weren't school business. They were attending events that were school related, but none of their children were participating in those events. So that's taking leave. But we're making great progress. We hope to finish the pilot this spring, and implement it full district-wide in the fall of next year.
Now, with that pilot, will the principals have to approve the school leave? I mean, your personal leave, that's your personal business.
Right. The principals approve any school business that's related to their campus. Absolutely. Good questions.
Yeah, Dan, can you also include, I don't know, I don't remember the last report we had on what it's costing us on substitutes?
Absolutely. I've been working on that actual report. I've got 8 hours into it right now, and I can tell you that from the beginning of the year to today, approximately, and please don't hold me to this number, but I know that it's over $555,000 that we've spent on subs to date. So that again is also teasing out quite a few different avenues. But while that hurts on one side, remember that it helps on the other side, because even though you have that much in sub costs, you're saving on the payroll personnel cost side. And so you don't have an employee there, a full-time employee, say if it's a vacancy, you're not paying that $60,000 or $65,000 per employee over here, and so you're paying $100 a day for a sub versus $350 a day for a full-time employee that's hired. So even though we prefer to have full-time employees who are certified and hired in the job, we prefer that. You're still only paying $100 for a sub in this position if it's a vacancy, versus $350 a day for that position if it's staffed. So there's a catch-22 between the sub cost and the teacher cost.
Yeah, but if it's a sub and they're not certified or qualified for that position, are we spending an additional amount in interventions for these students? So are we really coming away with any money?
That's a great point, because they're not able to deliver the quality instruction that we want as a teacher. You're right. And so there's costs as far as money, and then there's costs as far as quality of instruction.
So with that, through your ASOP software, just doing some background, we're able to, from my understanding, pull information on how we are doing, how we're comparing from a substitution standpoint, whether it's national, whether it's state level. I would love to see, those reports to understand how we are tracking as a district.
Absolutely. I can do that with Skyward right now for just our local, and then what I'll do is I'll try to do some comparisons with other districts our size and our demographic, and try to get that for you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have board committee updates. I'd like to go first.
I'll go first.
Mine's real quick. It's for safety and security. Our next meeting is planned for April 3rd, and I'll be getting with Ms. Celadon and Ms. Serna on possible things to add to that agenda.
That was real quick.
I have something from MEF, if that's okay. First off, I was approved to be a new MEF board member, and so was Janie, I believe. So we did have our first official meeting on March the 25th. And of course the MEF is mainly concerned with scholarships. So they gave me a list of items here that we went over, and I won't read them all, but I'll make some key points on this, and you can all have a copy of this. If necessary, we can put it on the website. But MEF scholarships online applications are currently open for our seniors. We also talked about some of the scholarships that are available that no one actually applies to. The seniors really need to be out there looking for opportunities to apply for these scholarships, because usually nobody applies, and if there's one or two people, they would automatically get it. The Hindu Charities for America will funnel their scholarship awards through MEF once again this year. They will be awarding $10,000 for vocational training scholarships. The second annual MISD Decision Day will be held on May 3rd at 1:30 at Manor Senior High School. Again, we're going to partner with Manor ISD, this is MEF, to honor all of the students who will be going on to higher education or career technical education. The third annual Top Golf, which was done just recently, we raised about $30,000 for scholarships. MEF served on the committee for the first annual Black History Month program event on February 26th. You knew about that, huh? MEF board president and secretary met with senior managers, public community affairs personnel from Samsung, along with the executive director. MEF gave an update on how we are impacting our Manor ISD students through scholarship program. So we're meeting with local folks. MEF serves and participates on the Parental Involvement Engagement Meeting and Forums. MEF board meetings are quarterly, so we don't have a summary for you every board meeting. And that's about all.
Okay, so I will give an update on the Parent Engagement Committee. All PTAs are in good standing. Yay! And they will be meeting, I'm going to assume it's Dr. Fannin and Ramon will be meeting with our PTA Council leader, Mr. Anderson, to discuss steps for continuation and reaching council status. Dr. Sue's birthday party. It was a great success. It happened on March the 1st at the Manor Senior High. Special guest, Gold Olympic medalist Tanya Richard Ross was present with her son. They had nearly 200 students participate in the festival to celebrate literacy. More information will be provided at our next board meeting in April. Mayo and Manor. The committee discussed the idea of collaborating with other departments during other Manor ISD events. After a unanimous vote, Mayo and Manor was proposed to be held in conjunction with the Manor ISD Resource Fair on August 16th of this year, pending approval from the Student and Family Support Services Department. The goal is to collaborate with multiple district initiatives and programs. Information such as attendance, free and reduced lunch, transportation, Let's Talk, and immunizations will be given in one central location. I think that's going to be awesome. That way our students are ready to go for our next school year. Free and reduced lunch. Mr. George Townsend came to our meeting, to our Parental Engagement Committee meeting on March 14th, and he informed us that currently we have 77.72% of our students on free and reduced lunch. So we're going to try and work together so we can help all those families. I think somebody mentioned about free lunches, that we can help. I think it was you, sir, right? That somebody said something about free lunches. We're going to try and help our students apply if they need the services. Attendance. We're hoping to have Mr. Markham present on attendance at our next district parent forum. As a note of interest, there is a significant increase in funding when there is an increase in attendance. Thank you.
Can I just add to that? The African American History program was amazing. It would happen to be the same night as a playoff game.
Yes. There you go.
But Mr. Joseph and Ms. Singleton and Dr. Yearwood and everybody who was on the committee, I think it ended up being over 600 people who were there. So just want to thank everybody who was involved and all of the team of 8 for taking a huge chance. This was our first year doing it, so we kind of went for it and prayed, and it turned out well, so thank you.
Great job. Great job.
Very good.
Ms. Cortez?
Oh, okay, so I'm going to give an update on MASBA. So we had our week-long MASBA event starting the February 26th or 27th. I'm not sure what day it was. I think it was that Tuesday. And we first met at the Capitol with different of the representatives that evening. I was able to give a list of all the great things that Manor is doing in our district, and also a list of all the bills that we support through the MASBA organization that align with public education, and all the bills that we do oppose. We did have a lot of representatives from all over the state of Texas come and visit us, so we were able to engage with them. And also, we have a new state representative. It happens to be that the chief of staff is one of our neighbors, which is great. I keep on texting him of all the great things that Manor is doing, and they will be recognizing Manor at the Capitol. So we're working on that. Also, first time ever, the Mexican American School Board Association had their first equity symposium with the Texas Caucus of Black School Board members, and the Mexican American School Board members got together to make this equity symposium, which was mind-blowing. It is something that we definitely needed to do, and it's only going to get bigger and better. There was a lot of resources, great speakers, things that we need to, bring in our communities, and I've already started working on that. Then we also had the very first time ever that there's only 3 Hispanic Latino state board organizations in the whole country, and we were able to come together that week to discuss public education and the bridging and closing the academic gaps that we are facing. Also, we had Commissioner Mike Morath, we had TASB, we had different people join that whole week of events, and it was kind of surprising when he went to present to us. He told us that the highest performing districts in the whole state of Texas were in South Texas, the Valley, right by the border. They were 97% economically disadvantaged, 98% Latino, and 78% ELL, and right next to the border. So he mentioned, what are they doing? I mean, we're in a district that we have 67% Hispanic. We are, 78% economically disadvantaged. I mean, we're there. And he's like, what are they doing? They're excelling. And then it goes back to all the different things, like you were talking about reading. What I was thinking, what are we giving our how are we engaging them? How are they feeling, connected, that they are able to perform, make great academic success? And then I was invited to go facilitate at South by Southwest and TASB invited me, and then they presented that information as well. And I'm from South Texas, from the Valley. They go, Miss Cortez, you're from the Valley, so what is it? And it hit me, you know. I'm like, the culture, the feeling, the belonging, you know, just knowing how you all connect. I know we're a very diverse community, but there's something that's missing there. I'm thinking ethnic studies, Mexican American studies, African American. I mean, we can do something to engage our students to learn how to read. Parents, if you give them histories of where we come from, different, I don't know, literature, curriculum, they can also be involved and help their students. They're like, oh, by the way, your grandpa was in this, or, you know, they start feeling connected. And then, you know, you'll start seeing more parental involvement and get this information out to this different PTAs. So anyways, it was a very exciting week. And, of course, on March 2nd, I took my oath as the next vice president for the Mexican American School Board Association. And I'm ready to bring a lot of things to our board in our district, and I'm very, very excited. So I think that's everything in a nutshell.
Pretty much, you know, we continue to work on board policy and vetting through it all, and really learning about how to make those changes and take the recommendations that were given. We met on March 5th, and we plan on meeting again in April. And as we move along, we'll be bringing more to the board and to everyone. But we do provide a full update minute to the board. So if anybody ever has any questions, please feel free to reach out to one of the committee members or you know, Dr. Mosier, who heads the committee, for help.
So the construction meeting was very short because we were getting ready for the board workshop. We literally had a discussion that we're going to talk about in closed session that everybody will get some information on. The other thing I think we talked about was we talked about the field house and current construction, where we're getting ready to hear those updates now. Outside of that, it was real quick. Like I said, we looked up and it was time to go. Like go. So we should you'll probably get some minutes. It was just probably one thing that we were able to discuss. Outside of that, I think that was it. Yep. So we will have a new committee that will be starting, which will be our our academic and curriculum committee. We will have Ms. Thomas that will be chairing that committee. And we have asked for some other board members if they would like to join. So we'll figure out who those other two board members will be, and we'll start having those type of discussions. I think that one thing as a board that we're really trying to work on is some of the things that where we want to get better in. Is that one thing we do know is what actually that we put a focus on will truly get measured, right? And it will be a level of accountability. So as we're building these little subcommittees, we're able to really work, dive, do the work, and then bring it back and just make this a